Oh my heck. Okay, counting down. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, listeners. You're joining us today from Ogden, Utah. Now, Women Ignite. We're so excited to have our guest, Emily Oyler, today. How are you doing, Emily?
Hi, I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
I am so excited. So, today's topic is about creating your success story and what that is all about. How do you define success? When do you know you've hit your stride? Is it possible to experience success, serve others, and fill your own bucket at the same time? Well, our guest today, Emily, has done all this. And we're going to be going in deep diving into a little bit more about Emily and what her story is all about. But before we do this, I love listeners, and you know how I am, to take the time, take the moment, which we need to do today, groundwork a little bit, doing a quick meditation. I always ask as we go into this, Emily, that you lean in with your heart, kind of ego behind, shut down your brain just for a moment as we take time to breathe and connect, you and I together. And then our listeners. Listeners, as always, I invite you to join us. So as we sit, uncross your legs and just sit really comfortable, closing your eyes. And as you do so, take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, then in through your nose again, out through your mouth, and one more deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. I invite you to take your hands and put them up around your shoulders and give yourself a big squeeze as you do this, and repeat this affirmation 3 times. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love.
Love. I am
I am
worthy of
worthy of my love. I
worthy of
am worthy of my love. Take another deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and then tapping your chest 3 times, repeating the word accept. Accept, accept, accept.
accept.
Another deep breath in and release. Listeners, I hope that for these couple minutes you are able just to be still, to be now, to be in the present, and the importance that it is to be able to go inward for a moment every day, just to be. One more deep breath in and exhale. Now, as we move forward, Emily, I love my affirmations. I've been an affirmation queen for the last like 10 years. And it's one of those things where I write them on my mirrors. You can't even see my face because I've written all these affirmations. I've got doors that I write on, sticky notes. And listeners, I invite you to get out your sticky notes, get out pen and paper, write down the affirmation for today. We have my new Shine or Never affirmation cards. So look how cool those are. They say the now on it. So important. And the affirmation for today is I am knowledge. I am knowledge. So when I read that affirmation, Emily, what did it make you think of? I am knowledge.
I think it makes me think of all of the things that I've learned and all of the things that I want to learn and that I'm capable of that, of being able to learn new things and incorporate the things that I already know into what I'm doing in my world.
I love that. And there's no limit on knowledge. That's what I love about it, is our brains are so powerful that we can continue to expand and grow. Um, and a lot of knowledge, I believe, is gained not just through books, but life experiences.
I would agree.
So with that, Emily, I I would love you to share with our listeners. I can read your bio, I have it in front of us or whatever, but That's not what it's about. What it's about, I would love you to share with us a little about who is Emily Oyler and what makes her so happy and smiley all the time.
Sure. I haven't always been happy and smiley all the time. I got married when I was just barely 20 and had three babies pretty quickly. And then about 10 years in, decided that that probably wasn't, that being married was something that we needed to rethink a little bit. So we decided to get divorced, and I became a single mom, and I was barely 30. And I was really, really scared. But I was raised by two really empowering parents that taught me that I could do anything that I set my mind to do. And so I just thought, well, this is my new life. This is what my story is going to be like moving forward. And so I kind of embraced it. I got a job at Weber Human Services running a volunteer program. It was called the RSVP program, and it was specifically for individuals who are 55 and older. And I helped place them in nonprofits within our community to volunteer their time so that they could stay active and engaged after their work life that they had had forever. And I really, really liked it. I didn't, service has always been a really big part of my world because my mom and dad very service oriented and my grandparents were very service oriented. But I'm not going to lie, when I was growing up, I was like, oh my gosh, do I have to go do one more thing like this again? It felt like it was too much sometimes. But
Right?
then as I got older and I became an adult, and I got a job in that kind of environment, I realized how important it really is and how much it fills my bucket to serve others and makes me a better person, a better mom, a better friend. Um, anyway, I did that for about 8 years. And then an opportunity arose where I decided to come and work at Weber School District in the foundation office. And that's where we raise money for students in our school district. And I actually went from being, the director of a program to being the secretary in the foundation. But it was something that I felt really strongly about. I really wanted to do. My mom was the foundation director for another school district, and the work that she did for her whole career was just so important. And I saw that. And so I wanted to be part of that in some way. So I came to the foundation. I was the secretary for about a year. And then I moved into communications and development for a year. And then I interviewed for the director position when my boss retired. And I was lucky enough to be given the opportunity to be the foundation director here at Weber School District. So, and this is all about service. This is about raising money for students and helping provide a better life for kids, better opportunities so that they are able to excel and become who they want to be in life, which I think is just really, really important. My kids have received those extra helps because of the work that my mom did in Ogden School District. And I felt like it was something that I could excel at and I really, really wanted to do. In between all of that time, between my divorce and getting a job at Weber Human Services and then moving on to Weber School Foundation, I, was this single mom and I was trying to raise my kids and date and figure out what I wanted to do in my life that way. And I ended up in just this horribly abusive situation that lasted for about 3 years. And it was to the point where I almost lost my job at Weber Human Services. And it was a really kind of scary time in my life. And I went from being this really confident, strong, I can do anything type of woman to this broken down, complete shell of who I used to be. And I just didn't really think that I would ever be able to step outside that again and be able to really make an impact or do anything good. So like I said, that lasted for about 3 years, but because of, an amazing support system, my mom and my sister, well, my entire family really, a couple of friends who just wouldn't give up on me. And then coming to the foundation really did just changed my life. And because of those things, I have felt like giving back is not only something, it's my responsibility. It's what I have to do, because that's what people did for me. And that's why I was able to pull myself out of that really scary situation that affected not just me, but my kids and my family and everybody that was in my life. It was hard and scary, but it's also something I think that was defining for me and showed me that with the right support system and with people building you up and being in your corner, and empowering you to do the things that they know that you can do, that really you can overcome anything. And the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want to if you put your mind to it. So
And you do.
that's where I'm coming
Yeah, you have a wonderful family. I love your family. I love your parents. I mean, they're amazing, you guys, listeners. I'm just telling you, like,
from.
kudos to them. They raise these beautiful ladies and kids and grandkids, and we've kind of gone back in history a little bit. We've known each other for a while, and watching you go through some of those times in your life, I remember that. I remember being at the gym and talking to you, and and just kind of, hey, and it's not like we were like close hanging out. It was not like I was like, I just knew you were going through stuff, and you were very careful with what you said and things like that. But um, things happen to everybody, and the fact that you had the support, because not everyone does, but there's support out there for people. I mean,
Yes.
at the YCC, like that's for battered women. It's a shelter for battered women and things like that. And there's all forms of abuse. And I know we've talked about this a little bit. It's not only just physical. There's verbal and emotional abuse. Um, but there's during those times in life, you have to really step back and go, what am I doing? But it's almost becomes almost like quicksand.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're sinking and you can feel it, but you can't, the more you move or try to move, the further down you go.
Mhm.
And kudos to you for getting out of that situation, because no woman, no man, no child should ever be
Yeah.
in a situation where they are abused. And you respected yourself enough, and your family and friends respected you to help you. And that word respect has been one on my mind for this last probably like 3 months, 4 months. And it's huge when I look at it. It's once you stop respecting yourself, anything can happen. And that to me is very scary. That's where
Yeah, I agree.
mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that and it's kind of easy to let it happen if you're listening to negative outside, comments or energy or whatever it is that you're letting in that can make you start to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way if somebody is building you up. If you hear it enough and if you listen to it enough and you're really receptive, then you can make the best of that and really become who you want to be. But if you're constantly letting that negative in, and maybe not even intentionally, it's just, you know repetition is a crazy thing. You hear it enough, you start to believe it, and it goes both ways.
Oh, it goes both ways. I mean, people say, "Oh, we were brainwashed." I'm like, "Yeah, we're all brainwashed one way or the
Yeah,
other." It's like it's just
right.
repeat, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important that you're able to take look at the negative of what happened in your life and be able to turn around and now moving forward and helping other people. And you just got done with a great fundraiser this last week. Crazy, crazy time for you. But tell our listeners a little bit about what you did.
Sure. Yeah, so Christmas Tree Jubilee is our major fundraiser here at Weber School Foundation. It's how we raise a good portion of the money that we're able to put back into classrooms to support students and teachers and just provide additional opportunities for kids in our school district. But it's a week-long event. It is always every year the week of Thanksgiving. On Monday, we have about 100 or so. Well, it's more like about 200 volunteers come in, but they donate and decorate Christmas trees on Monday. And then Tuesday, we turn around and sell those Christmas trees at our gala, which also includes a silent auction and a live auction, dinner, and then we do a special ask which is for something that we've identified with district directors that really we need some extra funding for. And this year we are focusing on teen centers. We've got like almost 1,000 students in Weber School District, or student age kids in Weber School District, who are suffering from homelessness, couch surfing, not able to do their laundry, not able to even take a shower, or unsure where their next meal is coming from. And that's just a pretty scary number, and something that no child in our community should be facing.
Yeah.
Weber County, we're at 1 in 5 kids are suffering from hunger, which is worse than our state, which is at 1 in 9, which is still not great. That's
Right.
still really, really bad. But so that's something that we as a school district have decided that we really wanted to get behind and support, and make sure that those kids have equal and the same opportunities that anybody else does, even though, you know, they're starting at a little bit of a disadvantage. Students can't learn if their bellies are hungry and if they're worried where they're going to sleep at night. It just makes it impossible for them to focus while they're in school. So we were able to raise in our ask just over $180,000 in about 10 minutes, just from community members raising their hands and saying, yes, we'd like to support that at this level. And it's just, it makes you really grateful for where you live in the community. Yeah, the community that we have, and the importance that they, you know, put behind education and supporting kids. It's really amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So throughout the year, what if, like, our listeners right now, is there a way they can go and help with this foundation even though the gala's over?
Sure. I mean, we do lots of different things within the schools. If you have a neighborhood school that you'd like to volunteer at, you know, we always need volunteers reading to kids, different things like that. We do a golf tournament each year. The time really when the foundation needs volunteers is during our events, but schools can always use the extra help from people in lots of different ways. So reach out to your neighborhood school, and if there's something that they need help with, which there always is, they can find something for you to do. You can also, you know, obviously always make monetary donations through the foundation, and that just, you can go to our website for that. It's just really easy. It's a PayPal donation, and you can decide where you want that to go and who you want that to serve. So
And what's the site for that? What was that?
it's foundation.wsd.net, and you just click the donate now button, and it will give you a drop down menu of either a school that you'd like the donation to go to, or just to the foundation in our unrestricted account, which is how we pay for school grants and class grants and do student sponsorships and just support in general that way.
Okay. That's amazing. Listeners, take the time right now, write that down, the link to the foundation, and go and donate. I mean, $10 helps, $5, it doesn't matter
Oh,
the amount,
absolutely.
because it's just spreading, and continue to do that. Our kids are our future, and that's is scary, son, when you're saying 1 out of 5 kids are don't have food or might be homeless and things like that. Like, that number is huge.
Yeah,
And
it's scary.
we live in a pretty, our state's pretty wealthy, and you know, and I just think, what are we doing as humans, as mankind?
Yeah, these are just basic kind of human rights needs that some of these kids are just not getting, and it shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen. We should do what we can to fix it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And then with how does that work, like with um when kids are homeless? Like, they're just couch surfing, you said. So they're going from one friend to another to another.
Yeah.
Um, are their parents homeless? Is it like a rippling effect?
Yeah, sometimes like one example, I just was talking to one of our teachers, and a student and his mom were just living in the car because they had been through you know, a yucky divorce or something, I think it was, and they had to leave the home. And so they were sleeping in the car. And I mean, how do you live out of a car?
Yeah,
You
you don't.
don't. You
Mm-mm.
can't. And so um you know, another thing, it's really hard. It's hard enough for kids to go to school and kind of try to keep up with the trends and feel like they fit in. But when you're going to school and you don't have clean clothes and you smell funny because you haven't been able to take a shower in a week and a half, I mean, that makes it so much harder
Right.
for those kids. So what these teen centers will have will be laundry facilities, showers. There will be a student advocate in there at all times to offer additional resources that our community can help with, uh, homework help, information about how to apply for FAFSA so that they are able to get scholarships and student support to go to college and be able to kind of pull themselves out of this, you know, this
Fun.
hard life circumstance really that they didn't have a choice in
Right.
ending up there. So
How many teen places will you have? What's
so we're starting our first one. Construction actually will start next week.
good?
And
That's
that one, I'm so excited. Yes. That one will be at Two Rivers High School, which is on 12th Street. That's our alternative high school. And then our goal is to have a teen center in each of our high schools in Weber School District. So we'll probably move on to the Roy and Bonneville areas, high schools, and then extend out from there.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. I love that. I love that. That whole role going there. That's going to be, yeah.
It'll be amazing. It'll
It
be a
will.
really good chance for some of those kids to be able to pull themselves out and change that trajectory of, their future.
And I know in your life you had, and you mentioned, positive impact influencers in your life. And um, I'm like tearing up. I don't know why. And listeners, you know me, I can laugh, I can cry, I can do everything all at once. But I know some of those positive influencers in your life.
Mhm.
And I love the fact that you're taking the time and giving back.
Thank you. I
And
feel like my mom and dad have been just the most amazing examples of support and empowerment. And, you know, I've got two sisters and a younger brother, but the three girls are the oldest. And I remember my dad just being such an advocate for anything that we wanted to do. We could do whatever we wanted to, and it didn't matter if it was only for boys. It didn't matter if it was something that, was outside what girls should be doing. He and my mom supported us both, or supported all three of us and my brother, no matter what we wanted to do. And so I grew up really feeling like girls and women could do anything that anybody else could do. That changed a little bit for me when I ended up in that abusive relationship, because I just, you know, all the confidence that I had was kind of removed from my life, and I didn't feel like I could do anything. But then, you know, having that to look back on, the way my dad treated my mom and the way my dad treated his daughters and the way my mom treated all of us, you get those glimpses of how it used to be and how it should be. And I think that's what kind of helped pull me through. But then when I got to the foundation, my boss here, his name is Chris Zimmerman, he he was one of the best mentors and supports that I could have ever had. And he gave me, it was funny. I used to think, why are you making me do this? I'm not the director of the foundation. And later on, I figured out it's because he was preparing me for this role, and I couldn't be more grateful to him. Um, and while I was in my communication and development role here at the foundation, before I became the director, I got really involved with women in business through the Chamber of Commerce at Chris's suggestion. And it was life-changing for me. That has been one of the coolest experiences of my career. And being able to meet and collaborate with women women and men, really, from all over our community, and learn from them, and lift each other up and really support each other in our careers and in our volunteer opportunities and in our personal lives. It really has been the most uplifting and empowering experience for me and really changed my life for the positive. I've met my best friends through women in business, that I can't even imagine my life without at this point. Some of the strongest women that I have had the opportunity to be around and learn from and be built up by, and me doing the same for them. It's just, if you want to be part of something, that is a very positive experience and is community oriented and really wants to just make things better, women in business is an amazing place to be.
Yeah, I love that. That I was going to talk to you about that too, because you were on the board, the committee this last year, right?
Yeah, yes. I've been on the Women in Business board for 6 years. This was my last year, and I had the opportunity to plan the Women Empowered Conference, which was in September.
So
And
tell our listeners a little bit about that, because that I've been to a couple of those and they're amazing.
they it's an all-day conference put on by the Women in Business Committee, and we bring in speakers from, really, we try really hard to get speakers from our own community or our own state, because we have so many amazing
Yeah.
people here that we should really utilize. And so we brought in, Andrea Williams was our keynote speaker. She is the chief executive officer for the Utah Jazz. She's this amazing woman who has amazing leadership skills and leads out with, things that are happening with our very own NBA basketball team, which is so
Right.
cool.
That is so
Um,
cool.
we had Nisha DeGaring from ABC's Good Things Utah
I
come
love her.
and speak to us. She was amazing. We had, uh, gosh, now I'm on the spot and I'm missing
You're
some of
okay.
their names, but it was just a really amazing day of learning about leadership, learning about, women in business, learning about how to overcome some difficult situations, in the work environment. Because as most of us know, Utah is still, one of the states that the, gender wage gap is really bad. And just listening to people, talk about how you can overcome some of those things and really be strong in your work environment, and do anything that anybody else can do, and you see it because these women are doing it, and it's amazing.
And I think, I mean, this whole, before the show we were talking, um it's, my whole goal is igniting the women. That's what women in business is about, bringing women together, seeing the goodness, seeing their uniqueness and who they are and their empowerment that they have. And instead of going, oh, I wish I was like Emily,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, Emily, you're a powerhouse, I'm a powerhouse, let's work together, let's join groups, let's join forces and build and lift that female energy up and forward, because we are powerful.
Yes.
Women are so powerful, and we've always taken the back seat. And in my mind, it's time for us to start driving.
I
And women
I
are
think that,
that.
yes, I think that where our power comes from is our authenticity, and really being who you are, showing up as your authentic self, and using that to make things better. If we were all the same, it would be a very boring life and nothing would ever get done and no change would ever happen. And change needs to happen. And if you come in with your being authentic and really with this, positive, uplifting, empowering attitude, things can be far different and change for the better, which is, I think, what we all probably want. I hope that's what we want.
Yes. And I think that this generation coming forward, I mean, I know my daughter, she's in, mid-20s and just turning 30 now. Her whole thing in the workforce is, and she's in sales, and sales is hard as a woman
Yeah.
in the workforce, and having her join hands with these women and going, you know what, we can do this. And the power that she has for this younger generation coming forward to me is amazing. And that's what we get to do as role models, as females, as women in business. We get to help these younger generation move forward.
Yes.
I mean, they're powerhouses. They're
Yeah, I always look at my daughters, and I have three kids, two girls and a son, and they are, all three of them are just strong and independent and want to change the world. And I think that is just so cool. And they're doing things to get there. And I was not there at that age. I think it's so cool that they're already thinking about, wanting to really make a difference in their lives, but in this world around us.
yeah, and we need more of that. And I think through everything that what the Weaver School Foundation is doing with the teen support line, helping the teens, get them, get them rooted again and moving forward, because there's so much potential,
Right.
and just what this whole community is doing is absolutely amazing. And I love the fact that you're involved and you're in it, and that our paths have crossed over the years. And I have admired you so much with everything that you've done and everything you've been through. It's absolutely amazing. Um,
Well, I
before
feel the same way about you. Just so you know, I it's nice to look at people and know that they've been through things. And you said earlier that everybody has something, and you're right, everybody does have something. And if we support each other, everybody can get through that something. If
they
we
can,
don't support each other, it makes it a lot harder. So
yeah, and I think sometimes as women, we don't want to look like we're a failure. I mean, social media to me sometimes is gets me, just because it's always about the good. It's always like
yeah.
everything's happy and good, and I hire an assistant to post and do my things for me, because I'm like looking at going, pretty soon I'm sucked into that tunnel going, oh
Oh
my God,
yeah.
I can't, I'm not comparing, or I can't do that. Oh, they're so happy, why can't I, and all of a sudden I'm getting in that mindset where I'm all about not, you
Mhm.
know, be who you are, be,
Yeah. Yes.
be strong. And I find myself sometimes slipping down, going, who am I?
Yeah. It's easy
What's
to
my
do.
value? What do I have to offer?
Yeah.
And I know as humans that happens, but I think more so I've learned to focus in on what lifts me up. And I love seeing and supporting women who are doing things, but who are also very vulnerable. I mean, I just went through the month of November. I don't know if you saw it. It was, instead of like, what are you grateful for? It's what are my summits, the valleys and the summits. And I
Uh-huh.
shared with, with everyone the valleys I went through this last year. It's not until you're in the valley that you can look up and go, oh my gosh, I'm in this muck, and things that have happened, because things happen to all of us.
Yeah.
And life can be crappy sometimes, you know, but
Yes.
how long are we going to stay in the crap
Right.
before we take that foot forward? And the yogis believe we're all going to have that shit happen, but you know what? Move forward, move to the light. And it's all about you being able to do that. And if not, having that support team like many of us have, to get us through that, to summit, to get to the top of that mountain
Yeah.
and be able to see the view, and then slowly go through the next one, and all about that. And looking back at the valleys that I've been through, those are the times I grew. Those are the times where I was aware of
Mhm.
my next move, my next road, right or left, which way am I going? And I think it's very important for us to understand that it's okay to be in valleys. It's okay to hurt, but don't stay in it for very long,
Absolutely.
and see what we learn and grow from it. So I think that is so important. Before we close, word of advice that you can give to our listeners today.
Be open to learning from other people. I think sometimes, at least for me, and I don't think I'm like this as much anymore as I used to be, but I can do it. I can do it by myself, and I don't need any help. I feel like that didn't get me as far as I wanted it to. So I think be willing to accept people's help, be willing to accept advice, do what fills your bucket and what makes you feel good. And, you know, be open to that, because if you're not, it can be a hard road.
I am laughing so much just because I have like tried to prove point. I am independent.
Yes.
I got this. I can do this on my own, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, 10 years down the road going, okay, I am independent and I've been fine and I'm successful and I love my life. And I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to allow maybe people in to help me, and
Yes.
I'm thinking more of the relationship type people, but it's just like, it's amazing because I'm like, I am doing this on my own. So that just hit my button right up going, yep, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
We got this. You know what? And that's the thing. That independence is beautiful, but asking for help also and letting others serve
Mhm.
and allow, because we're all about service, right? And giving to others, but it's hard for, I know you and I, to receive that.
Yeah.
And that has been something I give my whole motto this year has, I give myself permission to receive. And I keep repeating that and then let go, let God. I control is can be a bad thing. And
Yes.
I have been one who can be controlling schedules and things like that, where maybe it's not what the universe or God wants for me at this time. And
Right.
let me tell you, I've hit many walls going, oh, okay. How many times can I like hit my head against a wall? Because I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make this happen. And, I'm sure God's just
Yes.
going, yeah, it's not happening,
Yeah.
Kara. But you can. And so it's one of those things. So, listeners, remember, ask for help. Give yourself permission to receive, and it's okay. And you can be that strong, independent woman and receive. And that's to me where that grace comes in, independent and strong in grace as you move forward into your being the feminine that you are and the beauty, the beautiful women that are out there. And men, we love you too. And before we close, remember our affirmation for today. I am knowledge. And knowledge is book learning, it's living life, it's the wisdoms that we've gained through the valleys, through our summits. Until next week, now is a time for the power of women to set fire and shine brightly as we stand together as one, yet as our own unique, brilliant selves. Emily, thank you for being with us today on this podcast.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it, and it was really fun. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Listeners, until our next podcast, sending you all love and light. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.